Hey y'all, how y'all doing? So today is Saturday, February the 20th. It's been about a week since I made a video, and there's a reason for that. First of all, I was getting fed up with my hair. I was getting fed up with waking up in the morning and looking like Bozo the Clown and having to beat my hair into submission to get in front of the camera for you guys. But as you can see, I've gotten my hair cut. It's really short. It'll last me a good while. And let's see. It's Saturday. I got it cut Thursday night, and I feel like so much better being able to just roll out of bed and not have to worry about running a brush to this. The second reason I did not make a videos is last Saturday I woke up and I hurt my middle finger. I don't know how. Maybe I flipped off the wrong person. Uh, but I woke up and the cuticle around my nail was like really red and sore. And I Googled it. It said a P word that I don't remember, and I don't think I could pronounce it, but it said something about sometimes bacteria can get under your fingernail. Maybe I was handling some raw chicken, I don't know. And it causes infection, and it said to soak your finger in warm water 2 to 4 times a day. And it took about a week to heal, but of course, you don't really notice certain parts of your body until you injured it. So like I would go to, grab a glass and I would hit it on the glass, or I'd, go to brush my hair and hit it, or typing at work. Do you know how many letters you hit with your middle finger when you're typing? Or even writing, you know, I'd be writing and I would hit my finger and it throbbed, it hurt really bad. It felt like a bee sting. But anyway, it's better now. And so on to the purpose of this video. Oh, first of all, this is my little tidbit journal. So don't worry, I carry this with me everywhere. So I have this is a list of ideas I'm gonna write. These are vlog ideas for my video. I have blog ideas, and then I have a list here of entries I want to make in one of my journals, and then I have random pages with quotes and little bits of wisdom and things that come to me that I'm going to channel into future vlogs and what have you. Okay, so if you've been watching my channel, you know that maybe a week and a half ago or more, I was at the thrift store and I found this book. It's called Write It Down, Make It Happen by Henriette N. Clauser. And I, at being a writer, this just really appealed to me. Being someone who journals and keeps journals and writes, this book really appealed to me. And so I decided to read the book. What I did was I read the whole book, and then I went back and I got me a journal. There's my journal that says Write It Down, Make It Happen, and decided to go through the whole book and do the journal exercises. And I'm currently at, I believe it is chapter 4, where she talks about writing a letter to some future person or future part of yourself. I'm going to read the actual exercise for you. And what I did too is I photocopied the exercise out of the book on my printer copier, and then I taped it in here so it you know what I'm doing. But anyway, this is the exercise. It says, if, like Gloria, and I'm going to explain Gloria in a minute, if, like Gloria, your goal is to find a loving partner, follow her lead and write letters to him or her. As her married friend found, you can also write letters to your children before they are conceived. Keep in mind how Gloria put it. What writing those letters did for me was help me to feel how real it could be. So, one thing that I loved about this book is that it really taught me things that I was already doing and things that I've told you to do. For example, how many times have I told you guys, sit down and write your story about your life or something that you want, not the way it is, but the way you want it to be. And so, as she mentions in the book, Gloria is a woman who was single. She had a good job. she was pretty much happy with her life, but she wanted a partner. And so she had heard about a woman who was trying to either conceive or adopt, I can't remember which. And that woman sat down and she started writing um, letters to her future children. And it really helped her to manifest that. It happened for her. Now, in Gloria's case within the book, it didn't happen overnight. I think it says in the book it took her 2 years before the man who would be her husband manifested. But the process of writing those letters helped her to solidify her vision of what she wanted in a man, what she wanted in a relationship, and it helped her to um, identify and unpack her own baggage and fears, which kept her from manifesting it. So, uh, I decided this is one of the exercises I did not want to skip. There's some I skip, like it tells you the tidbit journal is one of the exercises, and they tell you, okay, try the tidbit journal, carry this little book around with you, you can jot ideas in, and then for 1 or 2 weeks you put that journal away, and instead of using the journal, you use index cards, and you just keep a bunch of index cards on you and you write them down. And I didn't like that. I'm sticking with the tidbit journal. So anyway, when I decided to write the letters to my future husband, lover, boyfriend, what have you, I thought, okay, how am I going to go about doing this? At first, I thought, I'll just write them out on a piece of paper by hand, and then I'll put them in an envelope, and I'll put the date on the front of the envelope, and I'll put the envelope in a box or something. And I thought, no, I don't like that. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll get a blank book, a blank journal, and I will do, I'll write the letters as a series of diary entries. And I said, no, I didn't really like that idea either. So what I finally decided was there was a post on Facebook, I'd seen it several times, and it said something along the lines of, on the day your child is born, set up an email address for him or her, and then throughout their life, you will email them, pictures, you'll scan documents, like when they do their handprints, you'll write down stories and treasured memories, and then on their 18th birthday, you're supposed to give them the email address and the password, and they can go through and read all that. So I thought this would be a great idea for me to write my letters. So I used Hotmail or Outlook, one of the free ones, there's no charge for, to create an email address for my future husband. And I'm not going to tell you what the email was, but just an example is probably something like mytwinflame@hotmail.com, whatever. I just set it up, and then I committed myself to writing at least one letter a week to this person. And so I'm not going to read my letters to you, but I'm going to give you some ideas of what I did if this is something you want to try. So my first letter was basically an introduction. It was addressed to this future person, but it was really me explaining why I'm doing this and what I hope to accomplish. I'm writing this letter to you, my unknown lover, husband, boyfriend, wherever you are tonight. And this is my hope for the future, kind of thing. And then in my second letter, in order to sort of solidify my vision of who I'm writing these letters to, and the type of person that I'm hoping to manifest or attract, what I did was I made a list of all the qualities I'm looking for in a husband. And then during the course of the writing, because many of my ideas come to me in the moment, that's a question I'm going to address in a future video. Someone asked me, where do I get my inspiration from? Sometimes things just come to me in the moment. I don't know. It's almost like when you're reading the tarot cards and you get something like the Lovers crossed by the devil, and you get, oh, you're being sued by your ex-wife. It's just like this leap. You don't know where that information came from, but you know it's accurate and it's correct and it's meant to be. So what came to me was I took a piece of paper. Actually, I made notes today so I don't ramble on too much, so that's what I'm looking at. But what I did was I took a piece of paper and I divided it in half, right? Like this, so that there were two columns. And what I did was on the left-hand column, I wrote a list of everything I'm looking for in a mate. I didn't let I didn't take time to stop and think about it. I just sort of wrote a sort of a stream of consciousness sort of list. He's going to be this tall. He's going to have this body type. He's going to have this type of attitude. He's going to, have a work ethic. Just anything, just stream of consciousness. And then what I did was, now, I've heard people say this before in a lot of other different books. They say, write a list of what you're looking for in a man. Put it on a card, carry it in your wallet, read it often. But what I've never heard people do, and if someone else has done this, all credit to them. This is just something that came to me in a minute. On the right side of the piece of paper, what I decided to do is to balance it out. This is what I have to offer this person I'm writing these letters to, right? So on one side, it's what am I looking for? And on the other side, it's what do I bring to the table? And I did use, I have some 3x5 index cards that I got off of Amazon that you're able to put in your printer and print. I did it mainly to do some note cards. Sometimes I do affirmations and put them up around the house, and some recipes from a recipe book. And what I did was I took that 3x5 card, and on the front of it, I put, my perfect lover, or what these are the traits I'm looking for. And on the back, I wrote, this is what I have to offer. And that's something I have in my wallet, and I carry it with me, because you have to understand that a relationship, it's like, I read this somewhere, I don't remember who it was, but it said it's like two people standing on opposite sides of a bridge. If both people go 100%, they're still on opposite sides. You have to meet that person halfway. There has to be some compromise. So also, when you write your list, I would suggest that when you write your list of what you're looking for in a mate, you don't really think too much. You just write down what you're looking for. But nobody's perfect. So I suggest people to scratch out those things that are not deal breakers. And I'm going to give you an example from my life. I don't particularly like smokers or people who smoke, but it's not a deal breaker for me. So I'm willing to compromise on that. What I'm not willing to compromise on is someone who is a heavy drinker. And that is due to my own experiences in the past with certain people and family members. If you can't go to sleep at night without having a drink, or if you have to get drunk every night, you're not someone that I want in my life in that way. So, and then you can rewrite your list. What else do I have here? Okay, so that's what I did. So I wrote a list of what I'm looking for in a husband, and then I wrote what I have to offer, and then on the back of the piece of paper, I wrote a couple of paragraphs about the dynamic of the relationship, because no two relationships are the same. It's like, I'm going to be kind of funny here, so don't come at me with your sexist comments or whatever, but how do you want this relationship to be set up? Who makes the sandwiches? Who takes out the trash? Is there a breadwinner and a homemaker, or is it both of you work jobs and you share the housework? Do you want to have children? Do you not want to have children? What is the dynamic of your relationship? How does your relationship work? That's it. Okay? And that helps really, you're building up on your vision. I think of it like two of my favorite writers, Alice Hoffman, who wrote Practical Magic, which was filmed right down this road right here in Coopville, and Joanne Harris. She wrote the Chocolate series. These people who are writers, they build up these universe. Stan Lee was pivotal to building the Marvel. I know he wasn't the only one, but he was, he helped build a universe where, you have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, and there's, all these characters and rules and logic. He created it. So you're creating your own universe in which you are manifesting your future lover, child, what have you, and setting up the rules and the dynamic of it. And I want to sort of backtrack here a minute. You can do this for just about any goal that you want. Let's say you you have your own little Etsy shop, or you want to be a lawyer, and you're, you're working a you're working a daytime job, and you're taking classes at night to get into college. You can write a letter to your future self and build the world where, oh, I'm a I started out flipping burgers at McDonald's, and now I'm a corporate lawyer earning six figures, and I have, you know, three Ferraris and a condo in the sky, whatever it is you want. You don't have to limit this to a future lover. You can write letters to your future self and build the life that you want to build for yourself. Um, okay, and then my third letter, it was Valentine's Day, and I couldn't let Valentine's Day um, pass without acknowledging it. Excuse me. And so what I did with that was, and I love this creative writing, I sort of did a Christmas story, but with Valentine's, maybe a Valentine's story. And I put myself in the role of Ebenezer Scrooge, and I was visited by uh, the ghost of Valentine's past, present, and future. And so basically what I did was I had to write about my past relationships with past lovers, past boyfriends, and even going so back as to my relationship with my parents. My parents were divorced. My father signed away custody. He wouldn't pay child support. My mother uh, was 16 when I was born, and I don't think they were even married a year before they divorced. So she was 17 years old. She had to go out and get a job. I wound up staying at my grandparents' house all the time till eventually I just lived with them. And then my mother met another man who, I don't know if she would agree or disagree with this, but my perception was he did not want me around. And so my mother wasn't really, she was more like an aunt or a side figure in my life. And it got to a point where I called my grandmother mother and my grandfather father. But me and my mom are on speaking terms today, and we have a good relationship. But it did affect the way I saw myself and saw, you know, how I am or am not deserving of love. It affected my thoughts about that, because like if your dad didn't want you and your mom didn't want you, are you, worthy? So those, so confronting the ghost of Valentine's past, that really helped me to um, narrow down some of my issues and my and unpack my baggage and give me something to focus on moving forward, working with that. And then, of course, I moved into my the ghost of Valentine future, which is this person I'm writing to, and my hope for manifesting this. Let's see. Oh, and then the last thing I want to talk to you about is I want to build on this concept of building up your world and creating this universe for yourself. So, those of you who don't know, I am a practicing astrologer. I'm not taking on any clients, but I do write an astrology blog. And so, in order to build up this person I've conceived in my mind more and make him seem more real, I use my knowledge. This is an ongoing project because it's not easy. And it's difficult for me to explain it to you, and I'm not even gonna try to do it in too much detail. But basically, using my knowledge of astrology and using my birth chart as a starting point, as well as visions I've had of my own life. And when I say visions, I'm talking about psychic visions, visions of the future. I'm not talking about something that I purposely visualize in order to manifest. And I'm taking different things and my list of characteristics I want in a mate, and I'm trying to build up a natal chart of this person that I'm trying to manifest. And so, like I said, it's an ongoing thing. I thought I had it, and then I didn't like that, so I wanted to kind of change some things around. For example, I'll give you an example. In order to build a natal chart, you need three pieces of information. You need a date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. So let's start with place of birth. I am lucky. If I was back home in South Carolina, I would assume that anyone I met would also be from somewhere close to where I was living, because I was born in Lancaster, South Carolina, and most of the people I knew, went to school with, grew up with, they were all born there. But I moved here to Whidbey Island, and there is a Navy base right down there. There are people in this town on this island who are from all over the country and all over the world. So it's possible that I can meet someone from another state, even another country. And in fact, according to my astrological chart, my mate is probably going to be someone who's a foreigner, from another country. And that has to do with Juno in my chart. But I'm digressing. So, but I'm going to tell y'all, a couple of years ago, I had a vision in my mind. It was like whatever I was looking at went away. And I saw this vision of me having met a man. I did not see the man. It's one of those things where, like, a flash, and you just have all this knowledge and you don't know where it come from. But I saw myself living in a place where the land was flat. This man took me to his home, which was a farmhouse on a farm somewhere where the land is flat. And I had me there were cows and horses, and I had me a little garden just outside the kitchen. I could look out my kitchen window over the sink, and I could see my little garden out there that I would work on while he's out milking cows or rustling horses or whatever the hell he does. And those of you who know me well know that that is not a life that I would typically choose for myself. But for the right man, I would go do that and live a life like that, for the right man. So for the place, I chose Topeka, Kansas. I chose Kansas, and then I used my pendulum to sort of find a city. And then for the date of birth, I'm extremely attracted to Taurus men, so I wanted him to be a Taurus. I chose a time when the sun would be in Taurus. I used a little bit of numerology to come up with the actual date. And then for the time of birth, I used a pendulum over a pendulum chart to choose the, hour, minute, and whether it was AM or PM or what have you. And that was a starting point. And then I went and I made some sort of adjustments here and there. Um, and I'm still sort of working on it now. Um, Nobody's perfect. You're not going to find a perfect match. There needs to be some squares in your charts to have that friction to build on. Like, I don't want someone who's going to be joined at the hip to me. I do want someone who, when we're together, but we both have outside interests. Let him go to the baseball game with his friends. Let him go watch the Super Bowl over at his friend's house, and I'll go to the thrift store and do my and the used bookstore and peruse the stacks, and we can have our separate interests, but still be in love and want to be together. But anyway, that's something I'm working on that will go into my journal at some point. And I know that's not something that the average person is going to be able to do. But I want to share with you one more exercise, and it's about how to build a personality profile using the tarot. So if you're familiar with the tarot, you can do this exercise, and it uses a combination of tarot and astrology. And in fact, I actually am not going to explain it to you in this video. I wrote up a blog last night and posted it on my Facebook page and in some of the groups I'm on and on some of the pages I run. And I'm going to put a link in the description of this video when I post it for you to go and look at it. But in a nutshell, you basically remove 12 cards from the deck, which correspond to the 12 signs of the zodiac. And in the blog tells you which 12 cards to pull. And so you take the card that corresponds to that person's sun sign and you put it on the first house. So you've seen houses in astrology. So it's like a circle, and number 1 is probably about, I would say, where the 9 or the 8 is on a clock. And it goes counterclockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around to 12. So I'm a Virgo, right? So if you were going to read me, you would put the Hermit. The Hermit card corresponds to Virgo. Put that Hermit card on the first house, and then the other cards go around in order. And then what you have basically is a solar chart for all Virgos, and it's basically the astrological equivalent of an astrologer reading a sign in a house. So the hermit in the first house would basically be the same as Virgo rising or reading Virgo in the first house. And again, that'll give you a basic personality profile of everyone who is a Virgo. But then what you do is you take your cards that you have left over, minus those 12 cards you pulled, shuffle them, cut them, and then you lay them out, the first 12 cards in a circle, and then you read the cards, the two cards, in relation to each other and the house they're in. So, um, you might have, and that's for that specific person, right? So if you're, so I would do this exercise thinking about my future um, husband. I would use the Hierophant card because the Hierophant corresponds to um, Taurus. I want someone who's a Taurus. So I would put the Hierophant on the first house and the rest of the cards around in a circle. That would be a basic, you can read that as a basic reading or a foundation for anyone who is a Taurus. And then I would shuffle the cards and um, lay them out, and I would read those cards in relation to one another, and that would be the specific person I'm thinking about. You can do this on yourself to learn more about yourself. You can do this for your children, your parent, your boss, your friend, or this example here of a fictional person. Like, again, if you're a writer and you write stories and you want to like flesh out a person's personality, you can use this exercise to help you build up your fictional characters. And so that's an exercise that I'm going to be doing at some future point with building up this future lover that I'm writing to. But anyway, that is my video for today. I plan on making a couple of more before the end of the weekend. I am off on Monday, taking another vacation day to get some of that excess vacation down before I lose it. It's a bright, beautiful, sunny day out there, and I hope you all are going to enjoy it and have a great time. And until next time, I'll see you soon. And of course, I don't know why this doesn't work when I turn it on.